Today we're here with Luli.
Hello.
And we are inside today for our introduction because it is cloudy and rainy outside, but that's not going to stop us from shooting, and we're going to talk about how to take portraits on a cloudy, gloomy day. Luli, ready to shoot?
Let's do it.
Let's go. Nice. Alright, so the first thing about shooting on a cloudy, gloomy day is realizing that it's not a curse, it's actually a blessing, because what clouds act as is basically one giant softbox. You see, the sun is still in the sky, it's just covered by clouds. Contrary to harsh sunlight, which I made a whole video on shooting in harsh sunlight, this kind of light will come across much more soft on the model's body, face, and basically everything, which can really be a blessing for your portrait. So on Luli here, now she has a jacket on because it is freezing outside today, but if we actually bring her back up here, now I can't show you the opposite obviously, but on a cloudy day, there's such a natural fall off from where the light source is over to the other side of her face, and this creates a beautifully natural contour that isn't as harsh as you would have on a harsh sunlight kind of day, which is a blessing. Alright, one of the most important things to know is that even though it's really cloudy, the sun is still up there somewhere casting light in a certain direction. Now, it might not be as obviously if it wasn't cloudy outside, you can see exactly where the sun is in the sky, and then therefore how it's affecting the light on your model. You can't really obviously tell where that is, but knowing what time of day you're shooting at, for example, right now it's about 11 a.m., knowing where the sun is in the sky and just testing out how the light is falling onto your subject will really help to sculpt light onto the model. Now in this case, we have Luli here, and I know, because I've shot in this house many times, I know that at around 11 a.m. the sun is right here in the sky, right around there. And so therefore, I know that where she is standing, this is basically a split light between light on her left side of her face and then falling off into shadow on her right side of her face. This is very ideal, very satisfying, very fast fall down the middle. But if we turn Luli this way, now it might be really subtle, because it is cloudy like I'm talking about, but now she's fully facing the light source, the sun, that's right behind the camera, and there's much less fall off. Now one really easy test that I like to do is I like to put my hand out like this and actually go around in a 360-degree circle and test how the light and shadows are falling onto my hand. That's if you don't know where the sun is. Even if you do know where it is, it's a really good hack to see how the light is going to fall on your subject. Alright, now one thing that people mostly mess up when they shoot in cloudy conditions is actually two things: white balance and exposure. Now, on the exposure tip, I actually find that overexposing by 1/3 of a stop or 2/3 of a stop, or even a full stop, dare I say, usually not that much, I usually stick to around 1/3 of a stop overexposed, will help to lift the shadows, especially very subtle shadows under the eyes, under the chin, and all of that. And then with white balance, I find that cloudy days tend to push the white balance a bit cooler, and therefore I like to counteract my white balance in camera to be a bit warmer. And again, on modern cameras, you can always adjust this after the fact if you're shooting raw and when you're going to edit the picture, but in terms of when you actually are shooting the picture, I like to think about that as a consideration. Exposure is most important because I think it is a good idea most of the time to overexpose. And here is what I mean about those shadows. So on Luli here, this is a beautiful frame in this windowsill. Now, again, the light is very straight on, but there is still the sun light source somewhere way back there, whatever. And so naturally, it's going to create shadows under her eyes, under her chin, and all of that. Very much like harsh sunlight would do as well. But because of the fact that all of the light is being diffused and the camera is metering the scene differently than it would on a harsh, bright sunlight day, I tend to think that overexposing it by just a bit will help with that. Alright, the next thing to consider is to add separation between your subject and your background to again just add another level of visual interest into the frame. With clouds, obviously things can tend to look a bit flat because there is no harsh shadows that the sun is casting onto your entire scene. So one way to add dimension into the shot is to separate your subject from the background. Now in my opinion, that can be done in two different ways. Number one, most obviously, is to have a low aperture like f2.8 or 1.8 to make the background blurrier than your subject. And this is obvious and it makes a lot of sense and it does work here. But another way you can do it, especially on a cloudy day, is to actually shoot up towards the sky like this and use that gray sky above you as your backdrop or as your background to really separate, well, literally separate your subject from this infinite sky behind them. So on Luli here, we have her on a bit of a pedestal at the moment, higher than where I am, because I want to shoot up towards her in two different ways. Number one, I want to shoot her with this tree right here and then use a very low aperture to shoot that at f1.8, 2.8, something like that. And number two, I'm going to shoot her against this gray sky to really separate her infinitely between herself and the background. So let's shoot that. Wind is strong. Okay, the last thing I want to discuss is the fact that small movements and subtle movements can really carry the story on a cloudy day. Now, on a regular, bright, harsh sunlight day, more drastic and dramatic posing can really help to emphasize the image. But on a cloudy day, let that subtle, cloudy, more calm vibe be part of the storyline. And actually, one additional tip is let the elements tell the story. On a cloudy day, what other weather elements can you think of that makes sense for that kind of scene? Probably rain and probably wind. And that's exactly what we're going to play with. Now, we're not going to shoot this in this setting right here, but we have Luli standing, and we're going to actually go really tight into her face and shoot only from her neck up. And we're going to allow the elements, the wind and the rain and the clouds, to really help tell the story of a frame like this. So Luli, if you come out here, actually, we're going to shoot this somewhere else, but basically we're going to wait for a beautiful wind gust. We're going to have her hands run through her hair and create a crazy motion with her hair and let the wind do the rest of the work and shoot that on a very tight, compressed frame. And those are my tips on how to shoot pictures on a gloomy, cloudy day. Luli, thank you so much for shooting today.
Thank you so much.
Make sure you guys give Luli a follow over on Instagram, and make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Perfect.